lockdown, many of us initially enjoyed all the time we have to read books, the house. I've been doing a lot of my own welding, gardening, painting, making my own 10-foot by 7-foot by 2 feet cabinet. It's almost like a walk-in cabinet, according to my friends. But then there are funk days. There are days where you just go into a deep funk, and you can't figure it out. You just sit all afternoon, which is what I did yesterday. But this morning, when I woke up and I regularly tune into our praise and worship at Victory, this was the words that were shared, and I guess it speaks to me, and I hope it speaks to you. It's from the book of Psalms, Psalms chapter 3, in particular, verses 3 to 5. Uh, but you, Lord, are a shield around me, my glory, the one who lifts my head high. I call out to the Lord, and he answers me from his holy mountain. I lie down and sleep. I wake again because the Lord sustains me. And I just wanted to share that to all of you out there who may be feeling down, feeling worried, feeling scared. I think King David wrote those Psalms when his own son Absalom was chasing him, intent on killing him, and all of his loyal friends abandoned him. Now, we don't have wars like that now, but we are fighting the war against COVID, and things, it's very confusing time, and for some frightening time, but there is hope. In any case, I just wanted to share that, and the Lord will sustain you. Okay, so now let's go to the stories on the front page of the Philippine Star. We can start off with COVID search. Cops going house to house. Police are set to conduct house-to-house operations to find COVID-19 patients under home quarantine and transfer them to isolation facilities, according to DILG Secretary Eduardo Año. This police enforcement of health protocols takes the template of the 2018 anti-tambayan campaign, and with this, Año also called on the public to report neighbors who are COVID-19 positive. It's beginning to sound like a world war. Meanwhile, the Joint Task Force COVID Shield of the PNP has also announced that it will deploy over 300 cops, special commandos, and even soldiers to Navotas City to help the local government implement the citywide lockdown. For the rest of the month, Metro Manila is likely to remain under general community quarantine, and Cebu City under enhanced community quarantine. This according to National Task Force Against COVID-19 spokesman Restituto Padilla Jr. Padilla said there are still many hotspots under strict monitoring in Metro Manila, including Navotas City, which has been recently placed on a citywide 2-week lockdown. As for Cebu City, while the ECQ might be extended, Padilla welcomes the improvement of the situation as some hospitals are no longer at maximum limits. The Private Hospitals Association of the Philippines has reported that more hospitals across the country are reaching their full bed capacity for COVID-19 patients. PHAPI President Rustico Jimenez said there is now a need to decongest hospitals in Metro Manila, Cebu City, and Iloilo. One way to do so is by transferring patients who have recovered to quarantine facilities. However, most of them refuse to do so. As such, Jimenez is calling on the government to help them transfer these patients and thus make space for the severe and critical cases. In other news, today is the last day of enrollment in public schools for the upcoming school year. As of yesterday, over 18.8 million students have expressed their intent to enroll in public schools this year and will likely be using distance learning methods. Private schools, according to the DepEd, only have around 1 million students enrolled so far. Education officials have earlier forecasted a drop in enrollment by around 20% or 6 million students due to the pandemic. And that's the major stories in the front page of the Philippine Star. Now, just so our viewers know who our guests are for today, it's going to be interesting because first we will be speaking with our friend, our mentor, Professor Clarita Carlos, the political science expert at the University of the Philippines. And then from there, we will go to former senator, also a former professor, and of course, a broadcast legend, Orly Mercado, and attorney Josephus Jimenez, former Dole Undersecretary, a professor of law, and here are the topics that we will be talking about. With Professor Carlos, we want to talk about the claims or the mentions made by President Duterte yesterday on how he defeated the oligarchy without resorting to martial law. We'll also ask Professor Carlos whether do we still need martial law considering the military and the police have already taken over everything. And then we will ask Orly Mercado his sentiments and his observations or professional observations regarding the ABS-CBN franchise, the call out or shout out to other networks to study their content, their programming, etc., etc. And of course, Attorney Josephus Jimenez, we will ask regarding his comments on the inanity. I don't know if that's the correct word that was used in Congress that about the meaninglessness of noontime shows, etc. Okay, let's go to our first guest. Let's speak with Professor Clarita Carlos of the University of the Philippines, Diliman, Political Science. Professor, good morning po.
Hi, good morning.
Yeah, Professor, thank you for taking our call and accepting our invitation to come on agenda. Kahapon nagsalita si Presidente about how he defeated the oligarchy without resorting to martial law. And as a result, so many sectors reacted to the comments. Some questioned what was he talking about? Who was he talking about? Ano pong naging reaction nyo if you actually heard the speech, Professor?
Well, unang-una, the oligarchs will always be with us, like death and taxes, because of the iron law of oligarchy, Cito. So you will always have an oligarch. If you recall the former socialist countries, Russia and China, they talk about, cashless society supposed to be, but they have the Politburo.
Mm-hmm.
So every congregation or aggregation of any entity will always have a group of people, a junta if you want, who may be the economic elites, they can be the religious elites, they can be, intellectual elites, but there will always be oligarchs. So with all due respect to the president, I think I'll have to disagree with him.
What is the definition of an oligarch? Kasi alam mo ma'am, hindi naman lahat kami aral dyan. Ano ba ibig sabihin talaga or what is the strict definition of an oligarch or oligarchy?
An oligarch would be a small group of people who either control economically, politically, or a particular congregation or some other groups.
Mm-hmm.
And over time, it has taken on a pejorative meaning because oligarchs were supposed to be the source of all the inequalities, where 90% of the wealth is concentrated among them, and the balance would be for the rest of us. So, but if maybe the president is thinking that he had what's the term, dislodged one of them, but I don't know that he can claim that they're not they're not here anymore. So matter of fact, there's another concomitant principle, yung sa iron law of oligarchy, yung circulation of the elites. In other
Yeah.
words, you had EDSA, you simply replace Marcos and his cronies with Aquino and their cronies, and up to now. So what are we talking about?
Yeah, mabuti na banggit mo yan, Professor. Kasi nung sinasabi yun kahapon, ang pumasok sa kaisipan ko, we will always have oligarchs for as long as we have congressmen. Not to insult Congress, but alam naman po natin that in the Philippines, you can only be elected as congressman or senator for that matter if you have the financial support of rich people. Kasi may nagsabi nga sa akin noon, nung nagbiro ako, pag wala akong magawa, baka tumakbo akong senador. May nagsabi sa akin, Congressman, bakit? Meron ka bang 300 milyon, Cito? And I realized, what? That's what it costs. And what's your response to that? That we will always have an oligarchy for as long as we have Congress in power.
You don't even need Congress to have an oligarchy. As we noted earlier, an oligarch is simply a group of people who rule. So you can, in fact, let us set aside the pejorative meaning of the term, because you can have an oligarch who are rational, look at Singapore, they're headed by an oligarch. It's a group of people who are highly competent, and they're ruling in terms of certain identified goals. And same with South Korea, there are many bureaucrats there. They're ruling. It's a small group of people ruling, but they're mostly engineers, etc. So it's just a group of people who rule, and you don't even need the Congress to do that, to have an oligarch. Unfortunately for us, you're absolutely correct. You cannot get elected now if you do not have the wherewithal to, magsabog ng salapi, ika nga, no? That's the reason I have written a book on electoral reform. I said that as long as we have this kind of election system, then only the ones with the gold and the organization will have the wherewithal to really run.
Okay, dito po sa oligarchy, you mentioned that in Singapore, there is what you would term a good or competent oligarchy. So, oligarchy by itself does not necessarily mean if you're an oligarch, you are a bad person or an evil organized group.
Precisely, because the generic meaning of oligarch is a rule by a few people. That is why you can have an oligarchy where you have all intellectuals there, all scientists, all economists, but you can also have an oligarchy composed of all magnanakaw, or So this is just a rule of a few people. That's the generic term of the oligarch. But as I said, over time, it has accumulated all the wrong adjectives because of the way they have behaved in not only in this country for that matter, but elsewhere in the world.
Okay, so how do we change our setup to make it more ideal? Because if I give the president the benefit of the doubt, he does not want ruling, the rich rulers having their way in the country if we give him the benefit of the doubt. Now, kung yun ang gusto ni Presidente, how do we go towards that? Kasi si Lito Atienza mismo na nagsabi, ang kinakabahan niya that if Congress does not get its act together, it may ultimately become obsolete, or the people may decide, wala naman silbi ang mga congressmen na yan, palitan natin. So people are obviously talking about change here.
Yeah, but let us forget the verbs attached to government. The source of all wealth creation, job creation, they really belong to the private sector. So I think, unfortunately, interchangeably, the private sector, some of them, there are some of the oligarchs. So the government should not forget that they simply regulate behavior. So, to refer to your question, it's really with great difficulty that you have to regulate uh, what groups of people who have become so powerful that they can in fact make or unmake presidents or congressmen for that matter. So
Mm-hmm.
it's a matter really of regulating, calibrating, and that's the reason why you have the anti-competitive entity, isn't it? So you make sure that if the monopoly, if a monopoly is not bad per se, but because of its dominance, if it really is so abusive already and prevents others from competing with it, then you found its head, isn't it? So government should not stop thinking that its work is to regulate behavior.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, all the rest of the work really should be left to the private sector. But many times, the government really oversteps its boundaries and thinks that it should not regulate, but it should control, as it is doing in the present pandemic, by the way.
Yeah, is it regulating because no one is regulating government? Parang because for the longest time, parang ang naging regulator of government was media in the realm of political science because of the three branches of government. The presumption was legislative and judiciary would regulate the executive. But ngayon parang nagkalabo-labo na, parang hindi na klaro whose job is what and who is supposed to regulate who. What is your assessment of our state of affairs as far as balance of power is concerned about no job definition, etc.?
So there is no doubt that the basic principles of separation of powers is still there. In other words, I'd like to continue to believe that the judiciary is still as independent from the two others, from the legislature and to the executive. And,
Mm-hmm.
well, of course, unless we have a parliamentary system, the executive and the legislature will be fused. But, the way that we regulate, if we may use that word, government is really to kick them out of office. And we can do that by recall, impeachment, or every 1,000 days you change the face of Congress. Every
Mm-hmm.
2,000 days you change the face of the one in Pasig, the police with the Pasig River. So, you know, there are elections, and last I checked,
Okay, I think we got disconnected there, and I'm okay. I think I'm hearing the wonderful voice of our guest
yes,
coordinator. Okay, Professor, you're back. You were saying?
where was I cut off?
No, you were talking about we regulate by changing them by kicking out people from office
Okay, so
during elections.
saying that, in a manner of speaking, we regulate government by kicking them out through impeachment or recall or
Mhm.
by election. So every
Yeah.
1,000 days, we can change the face of Congress, and every 2,000 days, we can change the face of the one who lives by the Pasig River. So
Hmm.
that's how it is. I mean, no one can just have a political tenure which can go on and on and on unless you're Xi Jinping or Vladimir Putin.
Yeah, but what about the failure of regulatory offices? Because listening to ABS-CBN and other events that's been happening, even IATF, even I mean not IATF, but the COVID-19 pandemic, parang ang lumalabas, certain agencies are failing to do their jobs, and no one is calling them out for this.
Who is regulating who? Yeah. So,
Exactly.
well, that's the question I asked of the HOA, who's going to audit the HOA. But yes, the regulatory agencies are there maybe precisely because they're supposed to really regulate human and corporate conduct. And
Yeah.
if they don't do that, then in principle, these people should be changed. Unfortunately, I think, Tito, you know very well the concept of regulatory capture, where those who are regulated become the regulator and vice versa.
Hmm.
So paikot-ikot lang sila eh. So
Yeah.
it's like it's such an incestuous relationship, and I'm sure we can enumerate all the regulatory agencies who are now peopled by people. who were being regulated before. So that's one of the things really that is a deficit in our democracy because the regulators are not really doing what they are supposed to be doing. And so yeah, and this is where we have the situation that we have now. And to go back to my original thesis, the work of the government is to regulate human and corporate conduct. The
Okay.
rest, job creation, wealth creation, you leave it to the private sector and the individuals to undertake. But now I think we have jumbled up our verbs.
Okay. When I read the statement of President Duterte, to quote, I am very happy. Alam mo bakit? Without declaring martial law, I dismantled the oligarchy that controlled the economy of the Filipino people. Now, that is now being debated by many people. But going back to this term martial law, uh, I don't know. I'm just under the impression that there's really no need for to formally declare martial law, because if you listen to all the pronouncements of all of the people running the country now, we're practically under martial law. Now they're talking about conducting house-to-house search of COVID positive people. Everyone is going through checkpoints. Uh, are you concerned about this scenario that we have, which is almost like martial law?
Well, two things. I have read anecdotes of stories of people in Mindanao where martial law is still in effect, isn't it? Where they
Mhm.
said that because of martial law, they have the daily aspect, daily activities of life, economic activities, and so on. Maybe in very consecrated areas where that might work. But here, yes, you are absolutely correct. I'm really terribly bothered by every day, all this intrusion into our lives of military and law enforcement people. And the latest one, what you just mentioned, that can you imagine that they are going to mag, magpunta sa bahay-bahay para hugutin yung mga tao at ilagay sa isang quarantine center? What have we become? A police state? Hindi mo na lang hilahin yung tao? And that's why I even, joked about it and I said, meron ka palang tao magpunta sa bahay. Di, mag-test ka na lang at magtanong kung mayroon tayong national ID. You see how absurd it is and how alarming it is that they can just, say with impunity that they will go house to house and get somebody. Wala na ba yung warrant of arrest or whatever? I mean, where? Saan tayo napunta? That's where we are now, where we are headed by retired military people or retired policemen and and the latter, retired policemen particularly, so many rogues among them. Yeah, it's so alarming, people. Very,
Yeah.
very alarming.
To be alarmed is a normal reaction. But what makes me wonder is, I mean, you and my generation, medyo nahubog tayo at namulat tayo ng UP to defend our rights, to know the law, to take our stand on issues. Pero parang sa nakikita ko ngayon, parang ang priority ng tao, kumain, matulog, mag-Netflix, etc. And they're no longer cognizant or expressive of the concerns you have just expressed. Uh, is this the new normal? Is this the new world order where people no longer care about who's running the country? They just want their bread and their pillow to sleep on?
I hope not, because I think one of the reasons why I keep saying over this 4 running to 5 months lockdown is that there is social media, and of course, I do some other things which I would not have done otherwise. But we continue to resist. It is true that our mobility is seriously challenged Because like me, I'm an elderly Cito. You're very, very much younger than me. Hindi kita ka-generation, by the way. Yung tatay mo ka-generation ko, my student.
Okay. Pinapabata ko kayo, ma'am. Kayo naman eh.
Yeah, so that even limited yung mobility namin. Well, I keep on shooting out my mouth and using social media to articulate my dissent about why all these things are happening. Our students here in the UP, alam mo naman tayo, hindi tayo mapipigilan.
Mhm.
Diba? Andyan sila, even if they're wearing masks and physically distancing, they're there in the University Avenue articulating their dissent. Because that is the essence of democracy, you know. If the government will just be kowtowing to the governors, wag na lang natin tawagin tayong democracy. Let's just call ourselves an authoritarian government. So, what's the
Okay.
point? Last I check, parang democracy pa tayo. We're still living in a liberal democratic framework.
Okay, now here's the problem. It seems that and this I have to be transparent about this. Sa dami ng mga nai-interview ko araw-araw, I normally interview about 3 people a day. Now have a strong impression that even among the veteran politicians or well-known legislators, maraming takot ng magsalita, takot ng mag-comment kasi baka maapektuhan yung kanilang region, kanilang probinsya o kanilang bayan. And what makes it worse is it seems that there is a confusion on what is political versus what is work-related o trabaho lang. Kasi parang pinupolitika ng mga nasa gobyerno ang comments natin when in fact, I don't think we are against government for dissent's sake. We are simply against incompetence, as you pointed out, yung mambabahay-bahay na walang warrant of arrest, kailan ba nag-declare ng martial law, there is still democracy in the Philippines. Why is that happening? Why is it that people in government, when you make comments, they immediately make it political, when in fact we are merely being critical of incompetence, if not stupidity or abuse?
Well, the quick answer, Cito, is that because the bureaucracy is the way it is right now. Because upwards of 5,000 are politically appointed, so they have to kiss ass. Do you think these people will say anything that will jeopardize their jobs? They won't. They'll keep on kissing ass for the next 700 days until, 2022, and they'll kiss ass with somebody else. But, you know, if you recall, Marcos, and you will have born yet,
I was 16 years old.
Major reform in bureaucracy, which he tried to introduce in 1965 and failed, but he needed martial law to reform the government. And this is where he introduced the concept of a career executive program. What did they do? Oh? Dati-dati, only the secretary of the department is the one changed. Lahat pababa, mga career yan. Ngayon, I'm sure up to the level of the director, binabalasa mo siya. But people will not dare say anything against the administration in power, but they're going to lose their jobs. Diba? Pati nga kaya notice because of pacification, pati si Dr. Fauci hindi na rin nagsasalita ng 2 buwan dahil, he just wants to be there to be able to articulate his view as a scientist, but Trump can very well just cut off his head and there'll be nobody. The quick and dirty answer for why they will not speak, because they're going to lose their jobs if they do.
Okay, well, that is the sad state of affairs, and I think that even sadder is the fact that people are not able to distinguish between what is a comment and criticism of a mistake or a problem, rather than instead of making it personal. In any case, Professor, that is a really good answer, and I guess it cuts to the chase, and I have to say thank you for your time today. Sana po ay ma-set up natin na para makita ng mga mamamayan yung ganda ninyo sa umaga. Thank you very much, Professor Carlos.
Thank you very much. Good morning.
Okay, that's Professor Clarita Carlos of the University of the Philippines Political Science Department. And bagamat kahenerasyon niya yung tatay ko, medyo namulat na rin ako noon because during martial law, I was already 16 going on 17. And I was aware of what was happening and what we suffered during under martial law. Okay, we'll go for a quick break. And when we come back, we'll go to former senator, former professor, and now broadcast legend Orly Mercado here on Agenda. Okay, you're back here on Agenda, and I just want to thank all our viewers. And I have to apologize pa dun sa inyong mga nagte-text po sa akin o nagme-message. Sometimes I see it, sometimes I don't. Please understand, I'm not a techie. It is only because of COVID-19 and because of my age that I am forced to learn to work from home and learn all of the system. Pero truth be told, I think I am a representative of many of my generation na kung minsan hindi nga namin alam i-operate yung sobrang daming apps ng isang telepono na like I like to watch or podcasts and preaching of well-known, very famous speakers. And kung minsan, pag biglang tumawag, mawawala. Hindi ko na malaman kung paano ko hanapin until I ask my daughter to teach me. And it's a learning process. So again, I apologize kung hindi ko kayo nasasagot. just resend it, and maybe by God's grace, I will be able to find it and reply. And if I don't reply, like si Father Emmy ng Baclaran and Cebu, ano po, no? He wrote about the column I wrote and about the program. And it took me 2 days. Kung hindi pa siya nag-text, hindi ko pa nasagot kasi talaga napaka-old school ko, no? In any case, let's go to our next guest. Siya po naging professor doon sa aking pinag-aralang lugar sa UP, sa UP IMC, Institute of Mass Communication. And he was a former senator and now an anchor at Radio 5, Orly Mercado. Orly, good morning, sir.
Cito, good morning.
Okay, kamusta ka na, sir? Are you working from home o nakakapunta ka pa ba sa studio? Ako, banned na ako sa studio.
Hindi naman. Well, I still have appointments outside. Kaya you have to get out of the house. Sanay na ako sa nakakulong, pero kung magkabis we are able to. As long as you remember, importante, avoid crowds and always wear a mask, wash your hands, and be obedient. Then you will live.
Alam mo, nung sinabi mo yung salitang nakakulong, biglang na-realize ko, yung tatay ko nakulong nung martial law for 4 months. Aba, tabla na kami. Ako'y 4 months nang nakakulong sa bahay, being obedient to the government regarding COVID-19. In any case, the reason I asked the team to invite you, because you've been there. Literally, you've been in the Senate, you've been in on television, and you've been in the university covering a life's work on broadcasting and mass media. Ngayon, nangyari ito dito sa ABS-CBN franchise that was denied, and there's been a lot of discussion regarding warning to other networks, notice to other networks that you should improve your programming, your content, and your accountability. Anong naging reaction mo when I'm sure you heard about all of this? What was your reaction, Ka-Orly?
Alam mo, sa isang banda, siguro the pinakamaganda, the good thing about teaching is that it gives you an opportunity to look back and look at history and have a strategic view of things. Pag inisip natin itong mga nangyayari sa ABS-CBN, sa communication, naalala ko nung nagtuturo ako, isa sa mga paborito kong libro na pinapabasa ko yung mga estudyante ko sa Bascom was Halberstam's The Powers That Be. Sapagkat kita mo yung poder ng media sa Estados Unidos, the power of media, and it was owned by families, etc. And they were oligarchs also, to speak of, when they rose in political power, largely because of their economic power and their being in media. But you have to put into context all of what is happening. You know, when you look at what has happened in the world, you have to think of yung 4 industrial revolutions. Bakit ano yun? Layo naman nung 4 industrial, 18th century pa yung sinasabi ni Orly. But the reason you have to do that is to be able to see how the civilization has moved. The first, for example, first revolution, yung steam engine, okay, mechanization. Then after that, what followed was yung assembly line. Pagkatapos ng assembly line, computer. And this was already in last century, middle of last century. Today, we're in the information and communication era. This is the era of information. The power of our of the growth in our quality of life has been largely affected by technology in communication. And not only in transportation, but the communication thing. In that context, we have to look at the regulations that we have. Many of the regulations about franchises, etc., are part and parcel of the last century. And some of them were even middle of last century. We had requirements that everybody, although the ownership has to be Filipino, we have to control media, etc. That was the time when we only had 5 networks that were in the Philippines. And in the United States, three networks, three strong networks were the ones that are ruling. When you look back at what you have, it has changed. The landscape has changed because of the introduction of the internet. You have a situation wherein we have democratized even the production and distribution and broadcast of information has changed. Wala na yung control of the so-called oligarchs. They are still there, but their control is no longer as strong as it was before. In fact, nowadays, when you can have something viral and it can move so fast, you'll be surprised. The traditional media, what we that they call us, we have to take note of that. In fact,
Yeah.
it breaks into the traditional media. So, having said that, it is very important to put into context what this conflict is all about. Me, the way I look at it, it is a hump, but it does not really adversely affect totally. But there are statements that I have heard. For example, Senator Grace Poe has noted, now what applies to ABS-CBN has to apply to everybody. Yung strict non-Filipino ownership has to be implemented, and you cannot just grant this in another way, etc. But it has to apply to everybody. All of these things have to be taken into consideration. Now, the practical people have said, look, ABS-CBN has been removed from airing programs, but they're still there. Yes, they're still there. And in a smaller situation, but this is the growing thing. Actually, the way I look at ABS-CBN, what's happened to it, it could be a blessing in disguise. Did you know that there are two things that are very strong catalysts in this country today? One is COVID-19. It is the biggest catalyst that is now changing not only governance, it is changing technology, it is changing the way we become really totally interdependent. And it has shown also the weaknesses of political leaders who cannot adapt to the challenges or do not listen to the feedback of science and the feedback of communities. Now, having said that also, it is very important to us to take into consideration, in a sense, what has happened to ABS-CBN is also a catalyst. It is going to be a very strong catalyst in the migration to digital distribution of information. And maybe this is also going to push us closer to the fourth industrial revolution, which is the higher level of artificial intelligence and the power of the internet being a source of feedback, if not first broadcast on the part of the citizenry. Now, the citizens have a bigger say. So I think relax. While it is something we're going through, we see it. There are those who look at it in the context of fourth estate, freedom of information. That's all part of it. But to me, nagbago na ang senaryo. Nagbago ang mundo. Ngayon, dapat kasama na tayo sa pagbabago.
Okay, it's interesting you pointed that out, Orly, kasi looking back, as you suggested, looking back, na-realize ko when I started out on television, which was also with Channel 2. I started out with a program on Channel 2, and then I slowly deteriorated, migrated because of the internal politics, deteriorated to ANC, which was cable. And yet, I've always made that point that the job that paid me the smallest in a station, in a channel that was so small with limited reach, was the one that made me the most popular, where I became popular. And now, when you look at it, we're talking on cable, on satellite, with Signal TV, and on Facebook. So, kumbaga, no, nauna lang tayo, nauna lang ako. And dun ngayon pumupunta ngayon ang ABS-CBN. So you're very correct. The COVID-19 and the politics right now has been the catalyst that forced Channel 2 to transfer all of their platforms to the internet. Now, ito naman yung hindi ko kasi sinabi mo nga kanina, lahat mapipilitan. Pero ang problema, sinasabi ng iba, is it sustainable? For Channel 2, they have 11,000 employees. And syempre, they all need jobs. But people are saying, hindi yan kikita sa internet, etc. But my biggest concern is this, Ka Orly. We are focusing on the station, on the network, whether it's us or them. Pero no one is talking about the audience. Kasi for the longest time, ang labanan is about ratings, popularity. Kahit ilagay ko si Orly Mercado at magturo siya, si Susie Mercado, magturo siya, si Cito Beltran, gumawa ng very educational or informational program, yung masa are the numbers that drive the media buyers to tell the advertisers, oh, dito ka mag-advertise sa show na ito kasi dito milyon-milyon na nanonood. Ay, dyan, kay ganito nga, konti lang ang nanonood. Parang sabi ko, did anybody in Congress understand the concept of the audience? Na yung audience is the ones who determine. Tama pa rin ba yung pag-iisip na yun, Ka Orly? Kasi, ewan ko kung inabutan mo sila Eddie Ilarde, sila
I worked with
Laila
them.
Benitez ba yun? Di ba? Yung mga programa nilang noon time noon, mga quiz program, science program, informational. Now, napunta na nga sa sexy, yun ang pag-usap. So, what's your reaction to all of that?
Talagang dapat we should think of when we try to analyze media, you have to take into consideration one basic reality. It is a business. People invest in radio and television broadcasting, and it requires huge capital. It requires also a franchise. That means that approval of Congress. So in that particular situation, you have to earn. And now, it is also imbued. When they are given the franchise, fiduciary relationship lang yan in a sense that they don't own the airwaves, but they are allowed to use the airwaves. And it is for that reason that they come in with a very important function, that of being able to disseminate information, that of having to educate. But the primary consideration is to be able to entertain, because people spend money or want to be entertained. They buy radio and TV sets, etc., to be entertained. So it is basically, we used to call it the bubble gum of the eye. If you're going to have a program like this, where we discuss things at its depth from a strategic point of view, it's like going to class. But I tell my fellow professors, did you know that in reality, we congratulate ourselves to be able to help educate our students. But in reality, our competitor is the media, mass media. That's a more powerful tool of educating with large numbers. So now the challenge with COVID is to be able to utilize that particular, and we're succeeding now because we're forced. We're forced to do programs now from our bedrooms or from your library, etc., and interact with people in a different way. So what I'm trying to say here is that we should address a very important thing. What you were mentioning actually brings to mind the digital divide. There are those who are moving with the internet, with this fourth industrial revolution, with technology and information. But there are those, like in our society, in many things, there are those who are really marginalized. They do not even have enough food for the day, etc. Today, because of COVID-19, a lot of people have no jobs, etc. It's really and for some of them, the last source of happiness is watching a teledrama or a teleplay. Well, wherein it's like, as I mentioned, bubblegum of the eye. No, wala ka ng pagkain, wala ka pang entertainment, edi napakahirap yan. Yung specialized types of programs na public service, etc., uh, are not really watched because television and radio and the screen is basically used for entertainment. Did you know that ABS-CBN, when I was still, we started Radio Patrol, and ang dream lang namin napakababaw to be able to produce to have a radio station that's 24 hours, no music, and I had only I started with four reporters under me. But it became a source of entertainment because the news became critical, that you could not close your, no, but when entertainment comes in, when the crisis in the streets died down, our ratings go down. But when we have troubles, we have disasters, etc., it goes up. So there is an intermingling of profit making, and delivering the news and doing public service. Lahat yan ay magkahalo. Hindi mo na maihiwala yan. So ABS-CBN, all of the networks are doing public service directly. They are keyed in to their publics with their programs, etc. But tuloy-tuloy pa rin ang abante ng ibang mga programa. And so I think there will be room for others as well.
Yeah, but here's the thing. I don't know if you realize it, that in the last 10 years, at the very least, namatay na lahat yung mga programang katulad nito. Back in the day, you had your shows. My father had Straight from the Shoulder. Dong Puno had his own program. Yung mga mga news and current affairs talk show. Namatay yun because many executives, ito yung sinasabi nilang pag pinasok ng MBA, ang hospital at ang media, patay-patay na yung intellectual direction. So nawala na yung mga talk shows about politics and news and current affairs. And then, pumasok pa yung mga politiko, yung mga congressmen, mga nag-aambisyong mag-senador, naging kompetensya pa nating mga career broadcaster and journalist. And by the way, just for the record, ako po meron po akong degree in journalism. Hindi po ako napag-utusan bumili ng suka at naging journalist. Inabutan ko pa yung Professor Orly Mercado. In any case, my point, Orly, is have we not shot ourselves in the foot by allowing programming to be strictly entertainment?
Hindi naman. The reason why, kasi in the end, the fourth estate is controlled by market forces. Sabi ko nga, business yan. Pag yan it is natural for television and radio to go where people are entertained. When you come to think of it, even now, where the internet provides us access to a lot of information, people still don't view as many documentaries, serious C-SPAN broadcasts wherein there is a professor lecturing on an esoteric issue, etc. People would like to use media as entertainment. However, media has changed. It has already invaded our lives. Nowadays, you can just use ways to get to where you want to go. There are many decisions that can be made already with technology being of use. Now, the monopoly of a few people, personalities, having access to an audience is no longer there. We are competing now with a lot of people. Anyone can put up a blog and make his site visited a lot more than those who speak properly. Minsan, pag nagmura ka ron, kaya naglagay ka ng, you can be viral. So, it's the same. It's the same as if you have a lot of views, then you have commercial quantity.
Yeah.
Your value is increased.
Yeah, allow me to interject, Orly, no? Kasi parang one of the things na paulit-ulit sinabi sa Kongreso, unfair, na one-sided, etc. But that was what I was referring to. Dahil pumasok na itong mga MBAs, itong mga business focused executives and owners, what's happened is yung dialogue, yung discourse on national issues, national concerns, biglang meron nga akong nadinig na comment ka, Orly. Sinabi ng isang top executive, ang sabi, ay wala nang talk show sa stasyon namin kasi ayaw ng management mademanda for libel, etc. And I was saying, what? Tinanggal mo yung discourse of, ang nangyari, natakot sa libel, gusto business, pagkatapos hindi na nakakapag-usap. Because, during the heyday of my dad and Dong Puno, magsigawan kayo dyan. Panahon pa nila Elizalde, magmurahan kayo dyan. Sige, awatin namin kayo, walang patayan. But each side got to say its piece. And that is now being thrown at us. And I guess this is what we're trying to do on this program na, kahit kaliwa kanan kayo, sige, sabihin niyo yung gusto niyo sabihin. Your
But
comment.
I'll tell you, today, we are at the cusp of seeing technology being utilized heavily for education. Because of COVID-19, from kindergarten up to graduate school, it's going to be the utilization of technology to be able to communicate. Now our meetings are held Zoom, StreamYard, etc. This is changing things already. So there will be a serious part of our life. There will always be entertainment. As we move on and utilize technology, we will be comfortable with talking with people. Now, I used to complain in the past few months kasi pag nagkakaroon ng Zoom meeting, hindi ko na makita yung mukha dahil sa mayroong magsabi sa akin, Orly, kasama ka rin dun. When we have meetings, your lighting is improper already. Nowadays, you have to buy already a separate light so that you can see and they can feel your expression about what you're saying. So in this particular instance, things are changing. After a while, we will move on beyond ABS-CBN. I'm a little sad with what happened to ABS-CBN because, and Dr. Susi is the one that mentioned this to me, you close a network at the time where you need actually all of the networks, all of the means of communication to the largest number of Filipinos because precisely of COVID-19, because there is a pandemic. I think it is a wrong time to close something so engaged already with its audience.
Okay.
I'm thinking in that particular context, and I that's the downside of this issue. Of course, the 11,000 people who are going to lose their jobs is critical, but more critical to me is the entire population that depends on the goodwill of and public service of that particular network.
Okay. Thank you, Ka Orly. And siyempre, alam mo naman yung sistema natin. Kailangan ng mag-gap. Thank you very much for your inputs, insights, and assessment. And sana magpatuloy yung ganitong diskurso sa Himpapawid because we really want people to understand. Because if you don't use something properly, you lose it. So thank you very much, Ka Orly. Have a great day. And please stay safe, stay healthy, and stay strong.
Thank you.
Okay, that's Ka Orly Mercado, and we are going to keep on doing this sort of discourse para naman maintindihan ng mga tao kung ano yung mga nakakaapekto sa kanila. We'll go for a quick gap, and when we return, we will talk to our next guest, Attorney Josephus Jimenez, all the way from Cebu City. You're back here on Agenda and the time is 9:03 July. Ano na nga ba ngayon? July 15, yeah. And today the president was supposed to, or at least yun yung sabi-sabi, that the president would declare what the new categories of community quarantine will be. But in any case, we will get into that much I suppose later in the day or in the week. We will find out. But I think everyone expects everything will be status quo as far as community quarantines go. In any case, let's move to our next guest. Siya po ay law professor. He's a law professor at San Beda, Alabang, University of the East and University of the Visayas, Cebu. He is also a labor and HR consultant to a number of conglomerates and multinationals and had a stint as in government as former undersecretary at the Department of Labor and Employment. And kanya po natin siya inimbita is because it seems there was a convergence of suggestions because we heard Congressman Benny Abante quote him many times during the congressional hearing on the ABS-CBN franchise, and Vice Mayor, political leader Mike Rama of Cebu happened to mention him when Mr. Rama called me. Now, baka nagtataka kayo, bakit biglang pumofocus si Cito sa ABS-CBN? Hindi po. Okay? This is not about ABS-CBN. This is about content, media, and what we need to know about the nature of media, the nature of the business, and the audience. Kasi marami nagsasabi, kasalanan ng ABS, ganito, ito yung mga issue, ganito yung mga issue, pero wala naman nagsabing, teka, yan yung gustong panoorin ng tao eh. Gusto ng tao, sexy. Gusto ng tao, nakakatawa. Gusto ng tao, crazy. And, mind you, not everybody is as well off as you. Maayos ang buhay. May mga ibang taong happy na sila sa ganon. In any case, let's bring in Attorney Josephus Jimenez from Cebu. Professor.
Good morning. Morning, Cito.
Good morning, Professor.
I was an avid fan of Calloway Beltran, and I'm very happy that you follow his footsteps.
Okay,
and I have read some of your writings also.
Okay, maraming salamat, Attorney. And I understand you also write for the Freeman?
Yes, for a long time. In fact, I used to write for the Inquirer before, but when I joined the government, the editor asked me to resign because of conflict of interest. Conflict of interest.
Yeah. Okay, para kang tumakbo for public office, must first resign.
Conflict of interest.
Okay. In any case, Attorney, I don't know what to call you, Professor, Attorney, but in any case,
just call me JBJ.
JBJ. Okay, JBJ. Your name was mentioned several times during the congressional hearing, and actually not so much in relation to ABS-CBN, but you made comments regarding, ewan ko ba yung actual mong ginamit na words, yung tungkol sa mga noontime shows and certain TV program where you were quoted as saying na parang walang saysay. What is the relevance of noontime shows? Could you elaborate what you were trying to say or trying to get at?
Actually, para sa akin, networks like ABS-CBN, merong 4 na misyon. And that is inform, educate, inspire, and empower. IE, inform, educate, inspire, and empower. And I think ABS was really, being a business organization, was very much concerned about revenue and about patronage, and has forgotten perhaps or intentionally na nag-focus sila dyan, and they were not able to look at the social relevance and redeeming value of certain telenovela and programs. Yun lang ang sinulat ko sa Freeman na pinick up ni Congressman Benny Abante whose daughter happens to be my student in UST. I was
Mm.
a faculty of the UST School of Civil Law.
Mhm.
Counselor na rin sa Manila si Priscilla Abante, anak ni Congressman. Estudyante ko. Baka nag-research sila at nakita nila yun kasi hindi naman ako kilala ni Congressman Abante. Yun
Mm.
lang ang advocacy ko kasi na i-elevate natin tulad ng panahon nila ni Ka Orly, nila ni Dong Puno, ni Ka Louis Beltran, na
Mm.
merong intelligent discourse na
Mhm.
hindi mawawala yung intelihensya. Meron tayong pangmasa, pero kailangan na huwag natin alisin yung i-elevate natin ang level of discourse. No?
Mhm. Okay,
Yun
now,
lang.
okay, so you want to elevate the level of discourse, and I agree with you on that aspect. Pero yung tungkol doon sa mga pinag-usapang mga noontime show, do you have anything against noontime show? And I'm not being accusatory, hindi naman tayo court of law, no? Pero parang I'm just curious. Ito bang si JBJ asar sa noontime show or
Hindi naman.
whatever?
Hindi naman. In fact, galit ang misis ko sa akin kasi magkaiba yung paninindigan namin sa
Mhm.
bahay namin kasi yung mga anak ko lahat at ako naniniwala na kung may noontime show na huwag namang gumamit ng mga language na not for children kasi may mga
Mhm.
bata at that time, no, that is prime time yan so yung mga vulgar, indecent, mga lewd,
Mhm.
immoral na mga language at saka mga actuations dapat at saka alisin natin yung mendicancy, no, yung mendicancy na magbibigay ng jacket, magbibigay ng pera. Dapat
Mhm.
huwag nating i-cultivate yung kulturang ganoon. Kailangan nating ibalik yung mga magagandang ugali ng panahon namin ni Caloy Beltran,
Mhm.
yung mga sa panahon pa ng mga parents namin, yung mga values. Dapat yung mga noontime shows mag-cultivate din ng mga values kasi very powerful sila Sabi
Mhm.
nga ni Abante, napaka-powerful. At tinanggap naman ng ABS, in fairness to ABS, tinanggap naman nila na they have really many things to reform, no?
Yeah.
So,
Now, what is your view on that, attorney? Is it something that should be self-induced or brought through regulation? Kasi may mga magsasabi sa inyo, attorney, we get your point and we respect that. And sabi mo nga, tinanggap naman ng ABS-CBN yun. I think it was one of the vice presidents who was there who told you
yeah.
na we accept that. Pero may magsasabing, yan yung utak nung masa. Ganyan mag-isip yung masa. Diyan sila natutuwa pag nakakita sila ng hita o binigyan mo sila ng 500. Yan ang and that's what drives the ratings and that is what gets the advertisers to advertise because doon nanonood yung masa. What say you about that?
Ang balanse lang, balanse. While that is true, no, we must have a balance na hindi natin alisin yung value kasi very powerful ang media. At saka
Mhm.
hindi yan through regulation. Kailangan meron namang ombudsman Yung network may sarili silang ombudsman. So it must be based on principles and values na may mga script yan hindi naman lahat ad-lib Cito, hindi naman lahat ad-lib. So kailangan na tingnan naman nila yung script na hindi mababastos yung mga kabataan, yung mga marami namang manonood. At saka we can have patronage without going into indecency, no?
Mhm.
Kasi ang Pilipino para sa akin Pilipino, pili na lipi na Pino ang ugali.
Mhm.
Yun ang aking advocacy when I was a labor attaché to 3 countries in Malaysia, in Kuwait and in Taiwan. Nagtuturo ako sa mga OFW na huwag nating ibaba yung level ng mga Pilipino sa mata ng mga banyaga, kailangan itaas natin yung Pilipino, pili na lipi, na Pino ang ugali. Yun ang dapat nating ipamamalagi.
Chosen people with very fine, refined manners and taste. Okay,
Yeah.
ngayon, where do we start then? Kasi, do you agree yung ginawa nila sa ABS-CBN? I mean, honestly, attorney, do you agree with what Congress did?
Honestly, may kasalanan talaga. May rami din silang pagkukulang. Pero sa tingin ko, to deny is capital punishment. No, it's not about freedom of the press, but because the state has the right to grant or not to grant, because it's a privilege, it's not a demandable right. Pero para sa akin, kung may pagkukulang man at may mga issue, 8 yung issue na talakay. Inadmit naman ni Mr. Katigbak at ng ibang mga executives na may mga pagkukulang, and they were willing to reform. So dapat wag namang i-deny, kundi i-defer lang. At least 1 year. 1 year na moratorium. Hindi kayo, alisin kayo sa air, but you will be reinstated after you shall have manifested good faith and actual substantial reforms as you have promised.
But is that provided for by law, attorney? Sorry, ikaw yung attorney, hindi ako.
Yeah,
No? Ako,
it's not in the law explicitly, but denial. Itong denial na ito, it's not the end. Because Representative Belma Santos is going to refile another bill, no? Because there is no prohibition against refiling. So when there is a bill that is refiled, the Committee on Legislative Franchise is duty bound to schedule another. But reasonable time should lapse because we have a lot of priorities, no? We are fighting against pandemic. So maybe by January, by that time, ABS shall have already installed some reforms on taxation, on labor issues, on PDRs, on balanced broadcasting, yung pinag-usapan natin, yung content.
But wait a minute, attorney. I'm sure you listened to the hearings much more than I did. Pero are you convinced are you not convinced that they answered those issues clearly? They cleared it actually, and mismo BIR nagsabi wala namang tax liability. Sinabi ng DOLE everything is in order. Parang if I recall what I heard, parang all those the actual legal issues or questions were addressed properly. In fact, yung sinabi ko nga, yung point mo and yung point ni Congressman Abante, ang tumpak na parang inamin ng ABS in the terms of content and morality, may pagkonti po kaming pagkukulang at aayusin namin. But in terms of the actual charge, are you convinced that they did
Magandang tanong yan. It's a very good question because that is the wrong assumption that we all have. No, we assume that a congressional hearing like that is like a court trial. In a court trial kasi tama ka na. Pag hindi napatunayan, ang maghahari sa court trial is evidence, so facts and law. Pero in a legislative hearing, it's like an impeachment. It's not a legal process ito. It's a political exercise. So who has the number, who has the number, regardless of the evidence, will win. No, in other words, alam ko na marami doon sa bumoto na 70 ay hindi talaga nakikinig sa lahat ng hearing. So because kung nakinig ka sa sabi ni Congressman Garcia, who is the chairman of the technical working group, tinawagan nila yung mga political blocs and nagkaroon sila ng consensus. So it's really a political decision. It's not a legal or a judicial decision.
Tama
Because,
yan, attorney,
ah,
tama yun. Kasi you're right, no? Kasi alam mo, nagtaka nga ako na after the last day of hearing, sabi nila, tomorrow the technical working group will submit a report. And sabi ko, teka. Ngayon lang ako nakadinig na within 16 hours or whatever, ay meron na kagad report na ready. Hindi ganun kabilis gumawa ng technical report. So apparently,
kasi Sito, in fairness to them, no, nagtanong din ako Meron kasing secretariat. While the hearing was ongoing, ang mga secretariat gumawa na per issue. So copy paste na lang yung technical working group Copy paste.
okay.
So since ang conclusion kasi alam na natin ang conclusion So ang kina-copy paste na lang yung mga premises, yung mga factual premises, no? So
Okay.
kung sa court tayo Sito, baka iba ang resulta. Kasi ang
Aha.
magdidesisyon lang, yan ang kaibahan ng trial by jury sa trial sa Pilipinas. Sa Pilipinas kasi ang judge, siya yung makikinig sa fact, siya ang magdedesisyon. Doon sa Amerika, ang judge legal lang siya, wala siya sa factual. Ang jury, yung juror na 12, yun ang magdedesisyon. Yung nangyari doon sa Kongreso, jury yun Ang jury, hindi lahat ng jury nakikinig ng ebidensya. Meron na silang opinion from the very beginning. So, yung ginawa ng technical working group is to provide premises and basis for the conclusion. So, parang deductive reasoning. Nauna yung conclusion bago yung premise, major premise at minor premise. Di ba, Sito?
Aray. Biglang meron na naman ako natutunan today. So essentially, the head of the technical working group spoke to the political blocs. That's what you said.
Yes.
So kumbaga parang kumuha na lang ng consensus. What say you? So parang formality na lang pala yung botohan.
Yeah, kasi ang sabi ko, kung ako ay nasa advisor ng mga ABS, mali yung premise nila They went into the process with the wrong premise. Na ang premise nila na parang hearing ito, pag marami tayong witness, magagaling yung mga abogado natin, mananalo tayo. Hindi ganun Dapat doon, it's a diplomatic it should be a diplomatic approach. Dapat kausapin natin yung mga congressman, yung mga galit sa atin kasi alam naman natin na marami din tayong nasasagasaan sa mga komentaryo ng ating mga announcer, silang mga magagaling na commentator, nakakasagasa yan ng mga kandidato. So, naiipon yan. Ito panahon na ito na i-express nila yung opinion nila against sa EBS. Pero para sa akin, ang EBS ay isang institusyon. Kung mawala man ito ng 2 taon, after 2022, babalik ito. The Lopezes will return with vengeance. And I think we will have another episode. Kung sa Marcialo nga, nakalampas sila, ito pa kaya? No?
Very well. Those are very encouraging words, I'm sure, for the people at ABS-CBN. Now, moving forward, how should we do our jobs? I mean, I'm funny, natatanungin kita, no? I'm just asking for your opinion as a lawyer, as a opinion maker in Cebu, and also as a audience. Sa palagay mo, how should we in media now do our job? Kasi kanina sabi mo, dapat ibalik yung mga panahon ni Dong Puno, ka Louis Beltran, sila, and all the others na magagaling. Medyo pasensya na po doon sa mga tito ko na hindi ko nabanggit. Medyo mahina utak ko ngayong umaga. No, but ang tanong, paano naman namin gagawin ang trabaho namin kung ganyan na pag nakasagasa ka, tapos ka sa Kongreso?
Well, huwag mo na lang silang sagasaan pag malapit na mag-expire ang inyong franchise, no? Kasi alam mo Sito,
Yes, sir.
kasi kanina sinabi ko sa iyo, ang network may 4 na misyon.
Hmm.
Inform, educate, inspire, and empower. So
Okay.
mag-focus ka doon, mag-focus ka kasi tulad when you inform, parang Rotary yan eh, may 4-way test. Yung the test of truth talaga ang una, the test of fairness, the
Is it
test of
true? Is it
goodwill.
fair?
Will it promote goodwill and good friendship, no? Yung
Hmm.
mga ganong mga values, mga
Pero,
principles na hindi
attorney,
nagbabago, no?
yeah, attorney, JBJ, pasensya ka na, no? Pero, paano naman yan? Alam mo naman na ang daming, I will not say bad words on air anymore, but alam mo naman na maraming corrupt, maraming incompetent, maraming talagang wicked people in public office, not necessarily in government per se. Now, what is the media supposed to do about those people?
Well, panahon ni Cito Beltran, Calo would not hesitate to call a spade, no?
Okay.
And hindi naman nasisira yung franchise ng network dahil yung mga sinasabi niya is really faithful to what is happening, what is the truth. So,
Yeah, but
just
remember,
because you tell the truth does not necessarily prejudice the renewal of your franchise, no?
yeah,
Meron
but
kang
remember,
masasakasaan, no? Pero
oh,
kailangan balanse ka. Balanse
but
kasi.
okay. Yeah, good point, JBJ, no? But here's the thing. Nagbago na rin ang eksena because many of the networks, bawal na block timer. Lahat ng oras sa kanila na, lahat ng tao sa kanila na. And hindi katulad ng panahon nila, Papa, na okay, the views and opinions expressed on this program are those of the host and not of the network.
Mga disclaimer. Hanggang
Mga
ngayon may
disclaimer.
disclaimer pa naman.
Yeah, pero wala nang mga block time. So, ang nangyayari, are we supposed to just re-accept na as far as traditional media is concerned, wala nang tatawagin nating independence?
Well, at least kung meron kang programming na 18 hours a day, meron ka lang isang isang oras na merong talagang tulad ni Kalui or tulad ni Dong Puno or whatever, ay makikita na balanse ka kasi sa iba naman meron ka namang programa na pangbalanse. Ang keyword diyan is balance programming.
Okay.
Ang problema kasi masyadong nafo-focus sa isang side at saka ang ABS na-identify talaga sila sa isang partido, no?
Okay.
Na-identify sila, no? At yung kasalanan na hindi na-air yung campaign materials, dapat at the earliest opportunity nag-apologize. 2016 pa nalaman nilang mali sila, 2020 pa nila inadmit, no? They allowed 4 years and they did not take yung initiative to go to the president and apologize. Kasi ang presidente naman madali namang kausap, yung maraming, tingnan mo yung ginawa ni Luciutan, ginawa ni MVP. Madaling kausap yan basta if you have the proper channel.
Okay.
Isama mo na lang si Bongo pagpunta doon or si Bambol Tolentino, madali na yon. Madali lang kasi simple lang tao si
Okay.
Mayor.
Okay, thank you very much, JBJ. Maraming salamat sa iyong insights. At least it's good to know that pwede by January 2021 ma-petition na yung bagong filing ni Vilma Santos, etc. Thank you. Please stay safe, stay strong, and stay healthy.
Maraming
Attorney.
salamat. Thank you for having me and have a nice day and stay safe also.
You too. God bless you. Okay, that's Attorney Josephus Jimenez, JBJ, and you heard his views and opinion, and wala naman po tayong kailangang i-disclaim doon kasi lahat naman na sinabi niya, totoo, ironic at times, inspiring at times, pero in essence, truthful naman. In any case, That's the beauty of having a mixed menu for the day. You get all sorts of opinion, you get all sorts of insights, and I guess that's what we really need to do in this country. Whether it relates to your religion, your faith, your politics, or your business, you need to include in that passion intelligence, enhance your intellect and your knowledge. And ako po, yun lang pong sigurong masarap sa trabahong ito na ikinasasaya ko is that one is the continuous flow of knowledge, experience shared by our viewers and I mean our guests. And second, but even more important, is the response, the inspiration, the messages that you, our viewers, send us, because it tells us what we're doing right and sometimes what we may be doing wrong. And so, with that, I'd like to just encourage all of you to please keep on reading the Bible. And if you're a Muslim, read the Quran. And please, always, more than anything else, pray. Meron po tayong kaibigan na nanay niya, 64 years old, dyan sa Cebu City. Akala namin, baka malasin. Awa ng Diyos, because of the prayers of so many people on Facebook and our circle, she, after 11 days, if I'm not mistaken, is now COVID-free. So prayers work, and I do hope that God gives you answered prayers. Thank you. I'm Cito Beltran, and that's today's agenda.